This feels like a palate cleanser after all those Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Well, I just saw Don't Tell a Soul, a 2020 thriller that follows Jack Dylan Grazer as one of two brothers who break into an elderly woman's house while she's gone and steals 12 grand. And on their way to leaving, Rainn Wilson as security guard stops them and sees them, chases them down the woods, and falls into a well. This film kind of reminded me a lot of how I felt about A Perfect Murder. You know, a thriller that really gives a moral dilemma, especially in a more just smaller setting. But another thing about Don't Tell a Soul that also reminded me about A Perfect Murder is the idea that maybe the premise is better than the movie as a whole. Getting to the positives, the premise is a very good premise. You know, you have these two teenage boys, probably one who's 17, 18, and then you have one who's about 13, and they go and they steal money from, you know, an elderly woman's home. And this money, it's over 10 grand. I think it's considered grand theft, you know, for doing it. And it would be more than just a misdemeanor for these two boys. It might go to juvie. It might carry over into an actual prison sentence. When they get caught and they start running into the woods away from Rainn Wilson, you know, Rainn Wilson falls into a well, and this starts a real big moral dilemma for the story. The older brother just wants to leave him, while Eddie, you know, the Jack Dylan Grazer, he doesn't. He wants to actually go and try to save him. And this brings a big conflict between the two brothers who are already very hostile and aggressive to each other already, especially with the older brother being way bigger and being able to beat the fuck out the younger one whenever he wants. So this also goes into a huge power dynamic throughout the entire film. Now, Jack Dylan Grazer, he does a great job in this movie. I believe him throughout the entire performance, and it's a strong one. You know, he started other stuff like It, which, you know, the first It film is one of my favorite horror films of all time. And then, you know, you have other films like Shazam, and he does good in all of them. I think that even if they're not the greatest movies, he does good in the ones that I've seen him play in. He does good. I just wish that also the script was written better, but we can get to that later. But the power dynamic you have between him and his brother, it always feels believable, and it always feels like he is in a position where he's vulnerable against his older brother at all times, and he is clearly weaker. The entire movie, you get the play on good brother versus evil brother type thing, as the younger brother constantly is going back to the well to give Mr. Hamby, played by Rainn Wilson, water and sandwiches, and just kind of talk to him. And as they talk, they also learn more about their personal lives, and they obviously can grow closer as they do so. Rainn Wilson does a good job doing this as well. It takes two to tango, and these two, as the star of the film, they really work well off each other. And I think that it's a very small thing too, where sometimes all you have to have is just two characters on screen talking, and it's compelling. 'Cause that's all it is when just one of them's on top of the whole, just talking to the other one. And I think that really works well, and these two really knew how to pull it off. And the film is worth a watch. It adds a point just to see maybe these two just acting together, because they really do know how to pull the performances and keep you captivated on screen.
You got a wife and kids, Mr. Hamby?
I used to, Joey.
What happened? You got divorced?
You could say that. Life takes some funny turns.
Going into the mix, the brother and the mother of, you know, the main character played by Jack Dylan Grazer, you have, I don't know the guy's name, it's like Fiona something for the older brother. He does a good job playing this douchebag, and they're horrible to each other. The entire movie, he abuses him, he fucks around with him, he lets him know that he is the boss, no one's gonna top him. Even when he invites his brother to a party after his brother has murdered Mr. Hamby, and completely, that's what they do in the midpoint climax. Brother goes, fuck you, I'm killing this guy because this guy's gonna get us in trouble if he gets out the hole, and then goes in there and then kills the dude. And so Jack Dylan Grazer is obviously upset and is very, he's mad at his brother, but he goes to the party anyways. Thought that was really bad writing. Only goes to the party so him and his brother kind of a conflict where in front of everybody they're kind of like, the older brother says, hey, my brother stole $12,000 from an old woman, like he's a thief, like show him what we do to thieves. And then the older brother says, hey, my older brother just killed a man. And so they're both like, it's just kind of like, to build up tension, have it where it's like this isn't a secret. Like now if they get caught, more people can pin up going back to them, yada yada. I don't think it was good, and it's just like the entire movie, they don't give enough for the brother to do, but just him him be an asshole, especially by the end of the film when it really matters, where they reconnect the last scene and like, you know, they're finally like admitting that they love each other and stuff. I don't believe it. I think it sucks because the person that's playing the brother, he does a good job of playing the asshole. Like, I really don't like him. He's a dick and I want to see him die. But at the same time, because the director, and he is the writer too, because he pushed that character in such a direction, even though I love to hate him pretty much as his asshole character, I can't love to love him because by the end, when he's supposed to be redeemed, it does not work for me. So his character flip-flops.
Jesus, Matt!
No! 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 God damn it! Fuck you!
I'm in charge now, and I said shut up!
And Mina Suvari, it's almost the opposite. She has so little to do throughout the entire film that when she gets this big character motivation, this big character push by the end, and is actually, you know, the person to come in and save the boys from the threat that's happening to them, I don't believe it. I didn't like it, and, you know, obviously she's one of the stars of American Beauty, and I love that film, but as an adult, I've seen her play, and this is like maybe 2 or 3 movies I've seen her play as an adult, and she's usually just given this very, very passive, weak role as a mother in almost everything I've seen. I'm not a big fan of it. And I don't think that, I wish that she was better in this movie too, because even in this one, she feels conflicted about how she feels about her sons at times, all like throughout the movie. She only gets her big moment near the end of the film when she really starts to take control, but even then, it's like, wow, it's such a reverse. They gave you nothing all movie just to give you this much at the end. It doesn't feel earned.
More pills! TV all day! I can work my ass out how I live!
I'm worried about you.
Now, talking about the bad stuff, the mixed section I just discussed had characters who were, you know, they had character switches that were abrupt and did not feel natural for the story that they were in. But in the negatives here, it's almost the same thing, but just for one character, and that is Mr. Hamby, the one that, you know, the older brother kills halfway through the film.
You'll thank me when it's done. Mr. Hamby! Mr. Hamby!
And another thing that you find out is that Mr. Hamby is actually not Mr. Hamby. He has a completely different name, and while he was in the hole talking to, you know, Jack Dylan Grazer, he was telling him, is it Jake or Jack? You know what? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm not gonna think about it right now. The kid from It, who was talking to the kid from It, and he said that I had, like, you know, a wife and 2 kids, but life gets complicated, gets messy, you know, people like, and pretty much implicating that the kids left him, the wife left him, or anything like that, and his life's kind of shit. He's kind of he doesn't really have much going on for him. In all honesty, that is the case. His life is shit, and he probably doesn't have anything going on for him, but he also had just shot and killed his wife and his 2 kids, like, days prior, ran into a security guard, beat him the fuck up, and then took a security outfit. And like says Mr. Hamby and stuff on it. So you find out halfway through the film that the person that they've had this moral dilemma of keeping alive is actually a complete, like, family homicide killer. Like, this, it's so. I'm stuttering here because I hate that.
He shot his wife and kids in Raleigh. He was spotted around here, armed and dangerous, is what they say. He doesn't have the jawline of a killer, but
it's hard for me to express how much I don't like that. It takes away a lot of the moral dilemma and the moral crisis of, should we keep this guy alive? Because he's already killed 3 people, and he seems to have no empathy about it. He seems to not care, and we know he won't have any empathy because when he escapes the hole later on, he tries to kill the 2 brothers, and like he kills cops. He tells a cop, the only reason why I'm not ending your life right here is because this boy's telling me not to. So we know he has no empathy, and it probably would have been better if he would have stayed in the hole. If not, if the kids everyone tried to go back there and talk to him at all. And this would have been better, actually, because not only would they have money and no one would catch them, but at the same time, none of these other people would die. Like, nothing else happens to their lives if Mr. Hamby doesn't get out the hole afterwards. So leaving him in there would have been better, and it takes away a lot of the impact from the first half of the movie, something that I really just don't respect. It really like aggravates me that you could have probably just made a better movie with it being a straightforward story of like the kid going back and talking to him, then like growing as a person, and like they get out and like they stop the brother, which is kind of what the movie does, and they do have those beats in it, but the beats are ruined by other things. And though you can try to subvert expectations, and though it is important to make a different style of story, even with like, you know, natural beats that come with like, you know, stories from before, you can't go and do this like screenwriter douchebag thing where it's a twist that only a screenwriter would enjoy, where it's like, oh well, the person I'm doing is actually a serial killer, but it takes away a lot of the weight and heaviness behind what the moral dilemma was beforehand. And like, I don't find Mr. Hamby, he's like an all-right villain, but like I just really don't need it, especially, I don't know, like even when he gets caught by the mom just shoots him, and like he allows it to happen. He's like, he's not gonna get arrested, he's not gonna go anywhere, he just like sits there and lets himself get shot. I don't know, I found the entire interaction, once the entire twist happens where he is not like Mr. Hamby and he's actually like this killer, I also know that at one point he's gonna betray our main character, and he does. And so, like, this entire time, once that twist happens, it doesn't really absorb expectations because I already know what's gonna happen afterwards. This entire point, it really detracts from the movie that they did this, and it's a huge negative because, like, it's the big midpoint twist of the film, and it's something that you really can't avoid, especially when talking about this movie. It's a huge plot point. So I really think that this film would have been better if they would have just kind of done the straight and narrow path, the path already walked on, and if they would have learned from their predecessors before trying to switch up and subverting expectations in a way that really feels counterintuitive to the script.
If I can get you that rope and help you out, will you come back to the house and punish Matt for me?
Be my delight.
Overall, if you can find this movie for free, go ahead and watch it. There's no reason not to. If you see it on a streaming service, you have it on Netflix, something like that, go ahead, throw it on. It's an easy breezy movie that will pass through, and you might not find the twist so appalling as I do. And the movie still has entertaining moments after the twist has been revealed. It's not like the movie's just dead in the water afterwards. It's just a huge plot point that I have a hard time getting over. I definitely won't be rewatching this movie again unless, you know, maybe someone else wants to rewatch it. But even then, there's some other films that I would find to be able to put on. But do I think I regret watching it or spending my time watching it for the, you know, hour and 40 minutes I did? Not at all. It's the starting work of like Alex McCauley. I think he's done 2 movies since then, and if I do watch his movies, hopefully they're better than this one, and hopefully this is just, you know, a starting path, a starting stone for his career, and he can make some way better thrillers later on that I'll be praising on this channel. Well, this was a breath mint compared to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films I've been watching. It's a little different style of film. But, you know, even though I'm going to continue watching that franchise, if there's any reviews or any movies that any of my viewers, any of you guys have recommended, no problem putting them in the comments, and then I have no problem trying to check them out and watch them, giving my feedback. I have a lot of movies I want to watch, especially a lot of new ones, and this gives me a great reason to do so. So, you know, throw any suggestions in the comments if you guys want to, and I'll see you in the next one.